In November 2025, a quiet but unmistakable shift took place inside the corridors of global defense diplomacy, one that few analysts predicted and even fewer understood in its full strategic weight. Colombia, long considered one of Washington's most reliable security partners in Latin America, finalized a landmark agreement worth $3.6 billion with Sweden for the acquisition of 17 Grien E and F fighter jets. The moment the deal was signed, the geopolitical map of the Western Hemisphere began to look different. Welcome to Geocapitalist, the channel where we follow the movements of nations, industries, and alliances with depth and clarity. If you're joining us for the first time, consider subscribing so you never miss the global realignments quietly shaping our world. Today, we're diving deeper into Sweden's $3.6 billion jet deal that stunned Latin America, and why Washington didn't see it coming. This is not simply a story about aircraft specifications or procurement paperwork. This is a story about influence, sovereignty, and the rise of mid-sized powers reshaping their place in the international order. Beneath the headlines is a deeper question. Why did Colombia, after decades of strategic dependence on the United States, turn to Sweden instead? This transaction immediately became the largest defense acquisition in Colombia's modern history and one of Sweden's most consequential aerospace exports beyond Europe. But its significance goes far beyond scale. It marks a rare reversal in a region where Washington's air power influence has often been uncontested. The announcement sent quiet shockwaves from Brussels to Brasilia because it revealed something far more consequential than the purchase of new jets. Colombia was actively rethinking its long-term strategic alignment. The deal signaled a nation choosing a partner that offers autonomy and respect, rather than a supplier whose terms are shaped by political conditions. Before we continue, please note that the visuals in this video are simulations and illustrative footage only. They do not depict real defense systems or classified technology. All materials are used strictly for educational and analytical purposes. Now, let's continue with the story behind this historic $3.6 billion decision, because the deeper reasons behind it tell us far more about the future of Latin America, Sweden's ascent, and Washington's unexpected blind spot. The decision came after years of internal debate within the Colombian Air Force about replacing its aging K-4 fleet, a platform that has become difficult to maintain and increasingly expensive due to obsolescence in parts and support. Analysts observed that Colombia needed a multi-role aircraft capable of handling complex territorial demands, mountain ranges, dense jungles, and coastal defense requirements. The Grien E, engineered specifically for rugged environments and rapid dispersal, emerged as a natural match. Sweden's offer resonated further because it approached the deal not as a sale, but as a partnership. The contract included comprehensive training, technology collaboration, and potential industrial development inside Colombia. The gesture carried weight in Bogotá, where policymakers have increasingly emphasized autonomy, capability development, and reduced dependence on any single foreign power. What unfolded was more than a procurement. It was a declaration of independence, executed through a fighter jet built thousands of kilometers away in Scandinavia. This deal between Sweden and Colombia opens a new chapter in defense diplomacy. It challenges assumptions about who leads and who follows. It highlights Sweden's transformation from a traditionally neutral state into a technologically confident NATO member with one of the world's most respected aerospace industries. It also reveals Latin America's evolving priorities, where nations increasingly seek partners who offer sovereignty, transparency, and industrial participation rather than rigid political conditions. For Colombian people, this story reflects a collective desire for modernization and independence. For Swedish people, it demonstrates how Sweden's defense innovation, once seen as niche, is now shaping strategic landscapes far beyond Europe. And for viewers in the United States, it illustrates the importance of adapting to a world where influence is no longer guaranteed, but must be continuously earned. And therefore, we explore not only why Colombia chose Sweden, but why Sweden won. We examine the geopolitical undercurrent of Washington's assumptions, Bogotá's changing strategic identity, and the role of aircraft technology, industrial partnerships, and diplomatic trust. Because beneath the jets, the pilots, and the contracts lies a deeper truth. Nations are rethinking who they align with, and Sweden has positioned itself at the heart of that recalibration. For decades, Washington assumed Colombia would choose the F-16. After all, Colombia has historically been one of the United States' closest security partners in the Western Hemisphere. Through programs like Plan Colombia and decades of counter-narcotics cooperation, the U.S. supplied billions in assistance, training, and equipment. But by 2024 and 2025, the relationship had begun to cool in subtle yet meaningful ways. Diplomatic friction emerged over Colombia's changing security policies under President Gustavo Petro, particularly around maritime operations. When Colombian forces conducted controversial strikes on vessels alleged to be drug-trafficking boats, U.S. officials publicly questioned the legal and operational framework of these actions. Bogotá interpreted Washington's statements as undue interference. Washington saw them as accountability. The trust that once defined the partnership began to erode. This tension bled into defense procurement. The U.S. offer of F-16s was hampered by delays, restrictive export controls, and conditions that limited how Colombia could upgrade or deploy its own aircraft. Colombia faced long lead times, stringent oversight, and uncertainty surrounding congressional approval. For a country needing to replace its Kfir fleet urgently due to safety and maintenance challenges, U.S. bureaucracy became more than inconvenient. It became a liability. Colombia wanted not only a jet, but the autonomy to operate it without external constraints. Sweden offered precisely that. In contrast, the U.S. proposal offered advanced aircraft, but little industrial participation. Bogotá saw the difference immediately. Sweden proposed training pipelines, maintenance independence, and collaborative development opportunities. The United States offered a purchase. Sweden offered a partnership. This was the turning point. To understand why Colombia chose Sweden, we must understand what the Grien E actually represents. It is not a cheaper alternative to American aircraft. It is a different philosophy of design. Developed by Saab as a multi-role fighter tailored for nations prioritizing sovereignty, the Grien E is engineered for high performance with low dependency. It can operate from short, semi-prepared runways, making it ideal for Colombia's complex geography where air bases may sit near mountainous environments or remote regions. Its operating cost is significantly lower than the F-16s, allowing Colombia to sustain high sortie rates without straining its defense budget. The Gripen's electronic warfare suite, built around Saab's electronic attack jammer pod and cutting-edge ASA radar, positions it among the most advanced systems outside the United States. Its open architecture allows Colombia to integrate domestic software or third-party systems, something the U.S. typically restricts. Sweden's offer included extensive training packages, maintenance independence, and full life-cycle support. The Grien E fleet in Brazil provided Bogotá an additional layer of confidence. Brazil's positive evaluations of the aircraft, its performance, and its long-term sustainability were widely studied by Colombian defense planners. Saab's willingness to share technology, collaborate on aerospace development, and support local training facilities made the Gripen more than an air asset. It became a technological education platform. Colombia recognized that Sweden was offering not just jets, but growth in capability, autonomy, and future industrial potential. The most decisive part of the Swedish proposal was not the aircraft, it was the industrial and technological framework behind it. Sweden understands that modern defense deals must elevate the buyer's internal capabilities. Colombia, like many mid-income nations, is determined to build local industries and reduce dependence on foreign systems. Saab's offer included technology transfer options, training for Colombian engineers, and the development of domestic aerospace maintenance hubs that could eventually serve the entire region. For Colombia, which aims to strengthen its own aviation sector, this was transformative. The Gripen deal opens the door for Colombia to participate in advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity collaboration, and integrated air defense modernization. The Swedish government also supported long-term academic partnerships with Colombian technical institutes, creating a pipeline for skilled aerospace technicians. This stands in sharp contrast to U.S. proposals, which rarely include deep industrial integration beyond maintenance agreements heavily controlled by American companies. Colombia saw in Sweden a partner committed to shared progress, not unilateral oversight. This approach aligns with global trends where nations seek suppliers who empower rather than constrain. Sweden's success in Brazil, where Embraer co-produces parts of the Gripen, proved that Saab can deliver meaningful industrial cooperation. Colombia recognized that this structure would strengthen its economy, generate long-term employment, and elevate its regional influence. By choosing Sweden, Colombia chose an industrial future, not just a fleet upgrade. Colombia's decision reverberated across Latin America. Brazil had already adopted the Grien E, integrating it into a long-term modernization of its air force with local production capability. With Colombia joining, two of the region's most significant air forces now share a common platform from Sweden, a fact that alters the balance of influence in the hemisphere. Historically, U.S. aircraft dominated Latin American fleets, creating dependencies in training, parts, and strategic alignment. But the arrival of multiple Gripen operators signals a growing appetite for diversification. Nations such as Argentina and Peru have taken interest as well, though their economic circumstances remain a challenge. For regional air doctrine, Sweden's growing presence creates new possibilities for interoperability between Brazil and Colombia, enhanced joint training, and technology exchange. Saab's presence in South America is no longer symbolic. It is institutional. The geographic distance between Scandinavia and the Andes is irrelevant in a world where digital systems, simulation technology, and distributed manufacturing allow nations to collaborate across continents. Colombia's adoption of the Gripen also encourages a re-evaluation of regional defense strategies. Without U.S. export controls framing every operational choice, countries regain a form of sovereignty that resonates deeply in Latin America's political climate. Sweden, meanwhile, gains access to a hemisphere where its soft power reputation, non-interventionist stance, and technological credibility create an appealing combination. For Sweden, this deal is not an isolated achievement. It is part of a broader global ascent. Saab has recorded record order numbers in recent years, driven by Europe's rearmament after Russia's invasion of Ukraine and Sweden's NATO accession in 2024. The company's portfolio includes the Grien E, the GlobalEye airborne early warning system, the CV-90 combat vehicle, advanced naval technologies, and electronic warfare systems sought by multiple NATO members. The Colombian contract establishes Sweden as a player in the Western Hemisphere, expanding its reach beyond Europe and Asia. This success reflects Sweden's long-standing commitment to creating sovereign, efficient, and exportable military technologies. The Gripen program has been one of the world's most successful mid-tier fighter initiatives, offering high-end capability without excessive cost. Sweden's defense industrial base involves over 200 companies and tens of thousands of employees, making it one of the most advanced per capita defense ecosystems in Europe. By securing a landmark deal in Latin America, Sweden demonstrates that it can compete with the United States, France, and Russia, countries traditionally perceived as dominant suppliers. Sweden's advantage lies not in pressure or political leverage, but in transparency, flexibility, and technical excellence. Nations buying Swedish systems by reliability and sovereignty. This reputation is expanding Sweden's influence quietly but steadily, positioning it as a new model for mid-sized defense powers. When news of the Colombian-Swedish deal emerged, policymakers in Washington were surprised, even unsettled. The United States has long regarded Latin America as a region where its influence is structurally embedded. Defense sales were often viewed as predictable outcomes rooted in long-standing partnerships. But Colombia's decision disrupts that assumption. It suggests that the era in which Washington could expect automatic alignment is fading. Nations today seek respect, autonomy, and collaboration, and Sweden offered these more convincingly than the US. For the United States, the lesson is not that influence is ending, but that influence must now compete. Latin America is diversifying its defense relationships, and Sweden's arrival in the hemisphere symbolizes a shift toward multipolarity. This is not a symbolic deal, it is a structural one. The Grien E will shape Colombia's air power for 40 years. It will train generations of pilots and engineers. It will define Colombia's operational doctrine, and it will embed Swedish technology in the Western Hemisphere for decades. Washington may not have seen it coming, but the world did. Countries everywhere are reorganizing their alliances based on sovereignty, flexibility, and long-term development. Sweden understood this early. Colombia recognized it immediately, and together they've redrawn a small but significant part of the geopolitical map. Thank you for watching this analysis. If you want more fact-driven geopolitical videos, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for our next video. A new look at how Sweden and Canada may reshape the Arctic air power architecture for the next generation. This channel exists because of viewers like you who value depth and clarity. Thank you for spending your time with us. Until now, I'll see you in the next one.